Health and Fitness with David Hollywood with the all-new Midlands Park Health and Fitness Club, midlandsparkhotel.com. Midlands 103.
Hello and welcome to this week's show. Over the next 60 minutes you'll hear about the changing face of mental health in the Midlands. We'll hear from one of the 100 people planning on abseiling from the roof of Croke Park to raise funds for an Offaly Cancer Support Centre. One GAA club in Westmeath has some very exciting news, and you'll discover what a cricket taster session is. Now, conventional wisdom, anecdotal evidence, all of this points to an increase in anxiety, particularly amongst young people in the world we live in. But just how true is that? Turn to Me, National Mental Health Charity, CEO Fiona O'Malley from Tullamore joins us to talk about the issue. Fiona, let's fill in some of the gaps here around anxiety. Just how common and prevalent is it in the people that you're dealing with Turn to Me?
So anxiety was by far the most common presenting issue for people who live in Offaly, Meath, Westmeath and Laois. Our users from these areas that experienced anxiety were 64% of all the users from this area. That was almost triple the number of people experiencing depression, which was 22%, the second most common presenting issue. And then relationship issues, 80% of people were presenting with relationship issues. And then the remaining 6% was made up of people experiencing grief, LGBTQ plus issues, and then other issues. So anxiety is by far the most common presenting issue that we're seeing. This is broken down into subcategories which relate to anxiety over work, study or exam related anxiety, climate anxiety and financial pressures, to name a few. And we're also seeing a slight shift in the age profile of our users that are from Offaly, Meath, Westmeath and Laois. We have users from all ages between the ages of 18 and 84, but last year the majority of our users were in the 18 to 24 age bracket, which is changing slightly this year. This year the majority of our users are in the 20 to 26 age bracket. Okay,
the first thing to pick up on here is the astounding difference in those who are experiencing anxiety compared to any other experience or condition that's presenting in front of Turn to Me. In your experience, is this number increasing? Is it static? Is it changing as time goes on from your perspective?
So it is increasing. Anxiety and depression are usually the two most common presenting issues that we see, but the level of people experiencing anxiety is increasing. And then the shape of anxiety, or rather the subcategories of anxiety, is increasing as well. So for the last couple of years, we have seen a sharp increase in the amount of people that are reporting climate anxiety. So climate anxiety obviously relates to anxiety over climate change and global warming. And I suppose one of the reasons that people are experiencing acute anxiety over climate related issues and the climate crisis is usually because they are experiencing it firsthand. They're seeing firsthand their farmlands flooding, they're seeing firsthand their neighbours or their family members who are experiencing the negative impact of climate change, and it is becoming very, very real. And because it's, I suppose, such a monstrous problem, it can feel very, very overwhelming. And indeed, some people might argue that the government isn't doing enough to tackle the climate crisis, and that in itself can lead to an overwhelming feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. So for all of those reasons, we are seeing certainly a change in the anxieties and the type of anxieties that are being reported to us. We are also seeing a slight change in when people talk about work-related pressures or work-related anxiety. So it used to be probably about hitting targets would be a huge pressure for people a couple of years ago. Now the pressure is that a lot of people can't seem to turn it off when they're working, primarily because when someone's working from home remotely, and the vast majority of workers still offer remote working or hybrid working, the lines are blurred between someone working from home and not seeing in the office, and then also not being in the office and on annual leave. And what that means is that sometimes employers, when they don't see employees in the office, they might forget that they're on annual leave. They might think they're just working remotely if they're not in the office, and they might just give them a call and I suppose infringe on that time, which should be kind of protected and precious time with friends and family, time we need to rejuvenate, time we need to unwind, time we need to relax, and time that's vital so that we don't, I suppose, go on the road towards burnout. So for that reason as well, the type of work-related anxieties have changed since COVID, and that is something that we're seeing across lots of different sectors. There's no one sector of employment that is experiencing that, and oftentimes the employer isn't necessarily consciously infringing on someone's time off or deliberately, overstepping the mark or pushing the boundaries. Oftentimes employers might just forget that their employee is on annual leave, and a way that we would encourage people to, I suppose, avoid that difficulty is by reminding their boss before they go on annual leave, oh, by the way, I'm off, just to remind you, I'm off for 2 weeks now, or to set their out of office hours to the bounce back email to let people know when they'll be back in the office. And then sometimes another good tip is to send a calendar invite to your boss so that they have it on their calendar. Mary's, away for 2 weeks or whatever the period is, and that can certainly help to set a good precedent for taking annual leave and making the use of that annual leave correctly.
Yeah, and worth underlining the point that most bosses act in good faith, but we can all make mistakes in this regard. And what you say there is practical and helpful from a worker's perspective, an employee's perspective, I should say, in maybe how to bridge that gap without creating conflict. What you're talking about here would be so interesting if it wasn't so troubling. Like, I think we can all relate to the idea that the world is a lot less stable now. You talked about climate anxiety, politics seems to be really turbulent, and you're finding that's reflected in the issues that people are having. The issues are changing at the moment, and the amount of people presenting with certain issues is changing as well.
It is indeed, yeah, and it's interesting seeing the knock-on effect on anything that happens on the international scale and something that might happen on a national scale as well. So, for example, during the recent enough Dublin riots, we saw a huge increase in the amount of people that were contacting us looking for counselling after what they may have seen directly and experienced directly, whether they were witnesses on the scene or sometimes people who saw things on the news and they found it very, very harrowing and very troubling. And we had to triple the amount of counselling sessions that we were offering that week and the following week as well to meet that demand. So it is interesting, as you say, when something happens on a national or an international level and we see the direct, I suppose, impact that has on the demand for our services.
Before we finish up, Fiona, talk to us about what Turn to Me can offer someone listening who might be going through any issues at the moment.
So Turn to Me is a national mental health charity. It was founded in 2009 and it stemmed from the very personal and the tragic experiences of two brothers, Oisin and Diarmuid Scallard, who very tragically lost their brother Cormac to suicide. They decided when he passed away that they wanted to do something to help the mental health crisis in Ireland. So they set up Turn to Me, and Turn to Me is supported by the HSE's National Office for Suicide Prevention. We offer up to 6 free counselling sessions to adults living in Ireland. We also offer free and unlimited support groups on anxiety, depression, grief and relationship issues. We have a free unlimited meditation programme, and we also have a free thought catcher. It's like an online mood diary. All of those free professional services are available on our website turntome.ie. We help around 10,000 adults every year living in Ireland with their mental health, and we run 365 days a year, including on Christmas Day. So if anyone wants to avail of any of those services, as I said, they're free, they're professional, and they're all available on our website turntome.ie.
Tullamore's Fiona O'Malley, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me. See you later.
Next on the programme, one of my colleagues is doing something daft to raise money for Cancer Support charity. So it may be daft, but she has a truly worthy and personal motivation to do it. You'll find out what's going on in just a minute.
Health and fitness with the all-new Midlands Park Health and Fitness Club with fitness classes to suit everyone. Experience the warmth at 30 degrees in our dedicated spin studio. Discover all this and more on midlandsparkhotel.com.
Midlands 103.
Docus Offaly Cancer Support Group are running a major fundraiser at the moment. A select few lunatics will be abseiling from the roof of Croke Park in October to raise funds for the charity group. One of those lunatics, I'm very proud to say, is our head of content and producer of the Midlands Today show, Sinead Hubble. Sinead, thanks for joining us on Health and Fitness this evening. Tell us what got you involved in this? Why did you want to abseil from the roof of Croke Park?
It's Croke Park, so why not?
Well,
really?
I suppose Meath won't be getting close for a while. Sorry.
Well, growing up, I spent a lot of time in Croke Park, so it's a special place. But also, I suppose, Docus Offaly Cancer Support Group, incredible work from a team of incredibly dedicated people. So happy to support in any way we can. And of course, like when something like this comes in, the email is sent round, who wants to do it? And Will Faulkner, as usual, was like, no, I'll give the opportunity to someone else, very kindly.
He wasn't up for doing it
No,
himself.
he wasn't, no. Don't think he can handle heights.
Look, I won't cast aspersions because I'm bloody terrified of the concept myself. Look, like obviously Docus do great work. The cancer support charities across the country do great work. And more so than ever, they have been under the pump in terms of their resources and in terms of people trying to access what they do.
Yeah, and that's it. Cancer touches so many homes in Ireland, and when it comes into your home, it's a shock. We had our own news over 10 years ago when my dad was diagnosed with a tumour in his pancreas. And that, for us, came as a blow out of absolutely nowhere. He had gone in for tests, told not to worry, and he went up and he was told, yeah, there's a tumour, it's cancerous. And obviously that sends shockwaves. And I remember the morning I was here working in the station, he rang me about 9:10 to tell me the news, and I was like, what? Didn't know what to say to him. He had gone to the appointment on his own because none of us thought it was anything serious. And I remember I went home back to Oldcastle that lunchtime, and the five of us sat round the kitchen table having dinner and nobody knew what to say.
Yeah. It
was just terrifying. And obviously, because my role here is research and looking through things, I turned to Mr. Google for help. And probably the worst thing in the world that you can do to find out the survival rates for pancreatic cancer are so incredibly low. They don't give majority of patients more than 5 years. And it's one of those cancers that's very rarely caught in time. Now, we were really lucky in my dad's case. It was caught extremely early.
Okay.
And the cancer remained within the tumour. So when he had the operation, they were able to remove it. So he was diagnosed in August. He went in for the operation less than 4 weeks later. That was a 7-hour operation. Myself and my mum waited in the waiting room for those 7 hours, and terrifying because my dad had issues with his heart. He also, when he went under anaesthetic, found it difficult to come back around it. So the chances of his survival, even through the operation, were not great.
Yeah.
And so you're just sitting there waiting, not knowing. And then you've obviously taken all this information from the internet and you're just terrified. And I just remember when the surgeon came out, he looked exhausted.
Which is not what you want to see.
Yeah, but he came out and obviously told us good news. Everything had gone really well, and thankfully my dad didn't need to have chemo or anything, and he was okay after that. And unfortunately we lost him a couple of years later to a bleed on the brain. But it just really shocked our family. And again, we were so lucky that he didn't have extensive chemo afterwards or have to go through anything. He was on a lot of tablets. Obviously, it's a very difficult operation to recover from.
Yeah.
So, he had to look after himself and take care. But it just really shocked, I think, our family. And I think somewhere like Docus, if you can turn to them to look for support, you get the right support.
Yeah.
Instead of adding that stress and worry, and even knowing what to say to somebody because you tend to treat them as want to wrap them up in cotton wool. And again, my dad was very strong, stubborn man, didn't like that, wanted to get up and go. And, you know, so it's again having that support to, and even talk about it or to come to terms with it. You know, when you can go to somewhere like Lark or Docus or the Cushla Centre, it's a very, very comforting place. We had a visit there when we went down for the launch, and I was just blown away by the support that they can give people and the warmth that you feel once you walk in the door.
The atmosphere was really wonderful, and I think, I don't know about you, but I just had a bit of internal tension heading there. Our own mortality is something we like to ignore. And heading to a cancer support centre, be it for work or otherwise, just calls all that into question. It kind of exposes your awareness to a side of the world that we do avoid if we can. And just the manner of the team led by John Conroy and the rest of them in Docus was just instantly so welcoming. Every room that you walked into, people were happy to see you. And what you could see on the day that they were launching this fundraiser was plenty of cancer survivors who had this bond, you know, and my dad went through it as well. He had a chemo treatment down in Waterford, and the cancer support services there picked him up on a bus, drove him in, drove him back. He was in his 60s. He struggled with mobility, and he said the camaraderie that they had on the bus and on the way down was great. Then they're all absolutely wasted with chemo on the way back. No one's talking, but there's this great affinity, and you could feel that in the air when we were at Docus, I think.
I think that's it. There's so much work happening in places like that, and there's so much things you don't know until, like that, you have a family member go through it. And when you think of we hear the stories from people, like the cost that cancer has on a family. So it's not just financial, it's emotional, it's time consuming, it's everything, and it's a huge upset in a life. And especially if there's young kids in the family, then you have to keep things ticking over as normal. You can't just get into bed and go, oh well, I'm not dealing with this. So when you do have places like these, and we know and we hear the stories from them all the time and the fantastic work that they do, we get these people ringing us up just to say thank you to the services because of supporting them through the difficult time. And I think it's something you don't forget. No, and when they do touch you, it's something that you don't forget, as you say, because you are vulnerable in those moments, and you remember the people that gave you a sense of security, and your family is one important part of that because they're always there and they will be there through that. But by the same token, they don't have an ability to give you a sense of security in the same way as a cancer support charity like Docus can. Yeah. And, Docus specifically, we may as well run through just some of the things that they offer. Free psychosocial supports, complementary therapies for people affected by a cancer diagnosis, as well as for their family and friends. And they need all the support that they can get. This abseiling fundraiser, Sinead, how can we support you doing this then? There's an I Donate page set up for Docus itself, and then the 100 people, or lunatics as you've named us, all have I Donate pages as well. So you can log on there and throw a few quid on. Anything would help. We all have a fundraising target of 300, but we're obviously all trying to absolutely smash that and give them as much support as we can. And like literally, €2, €3, whatever, every bit will help. And, it'd be great to be able to raise as much as we can for Docus because it will really take the pressure off them. 150 feet is, by my count, the distance you'll be travelling vertically. How do you feel about that type of thing? Like, obviously, you're braver than Will Faulkner and myself in that regard, but that wouldn't be saying much. So what are your levels of anxiety about it? I'm okay about it. Like, I've done a couple of parachute jumps. The last one was like 14,000 feet. I've done the Croke Park skyline. So you've been up there? Yeah, I've been up there. I've walked it. Looking forward to it. I think when I get to moments like this, I'm brave beforehand, and I'll get up there and the nerves will set in and I'll just go so quiet. Well, nobody's going to hear a peep out of me. So then you're in trouble when I go quiet. I haven't seen that before. So it'll be interesting. But no, looking forward to it because I'll be attached to a rope. So what can go wrong? And it's Croke Park. It's iconic. It holds a special place in my heart, going to games from a young age with my mum and dad, my brothers, So for me, like, I'm loving the opportunity to do it.
That's so cool. So in terms of how it works, from that kind of skywalk area above the stadium, you'll be descending down onto the pitch itself, I think?
I'm not 100% sure. I think that's the way it works.
Yeah, or it's certainly you'll.
It's from the Hogan stand anyway.
Okay,
I haven't really looked up too much yet because I'm probably best leaving that to closer to the time in case the nerves do set in. But it's going to be interesting, and like there's an amazing group of people doing it. I met some of the other people down at the launch there recently, and like people who are afraid of heights. So that's incredible. Like for anybody to be able to get up 150 feet and trust themselves with a bit of rope to get to the ground.
It's unreal. And I couldn't get over the amount of people who, like the fundraiser for this abseil, the table was chockers with people signing up. Like literally reams of people signing away their future. No, but like genuinely and sincerely, it wasn't a second thought amongst everyone, and I think they filled up the amount of spaces they had like that. And
there was a lot of people who haven't had to use DOCUS, but they still wanted to support the charity, and that says so much about a charity and the work that they do, because the community is so well aware of everything that goes on in there. No, you can see it in the fundraising appetite in Tullamore and Offaly more broadly for DOCUS and through the Midlands as to the great work that they do. And as you said, the likes of the Cushla Centre and Lark as well. So look, power to all of them, power to you. We'll talk again afterwards, David, because we'll see how it goes. Yeah. You could hear me screaming from Tullamore, I'd say. I bloody hope so. No, look, genuinely, we're all proud of you for doing it, and we wish you the very best with it. And we do ask any health and fitness listeners to jump onto the I Donate for DOCUS and help Sinead fundraise for them, because it's a worthy cause. Thanks for coming in. Thank you very much. What happens when we invest in our children's future? We're going to talk about that next.
Send us a text 083 3010 103. Powered by Lamb Brothers Tullamore, the home of Offaly's top selling car brand, Toyota. Midlands 103.
Now, in growing and developing a club of any sort of description in this country, it's contingent on a huge number of factors, but one of the most important things are the facilities that can host the people and the members that make up that social enterprise, that club. I'm very glad to say that Club Secretary with Southern Gales GA joins me to talk about that exact project from Southern Gales' perspective. A new 13-acre site on the east side of Athlone is going to provide new pitches and facilities for the club. And Martin, thanks again for joining us on the programme here. Tell us then, I imagine people are extremely excited about what's to come in the future, considering just how much of a task it always is to get a project like this over the line.
Yes, everyone in Southern Gales is over the moon, where I think the announcement came as a bit of a shock to a lot of people, which has now led to fantastic excitement and anticipation of what we're actually looking to develop. So we're looking to develop a new standalone state-of-the-art sports facility, and we're looking for this facility to allow Southern Gales to improve participation and, more importantly, then the standard of hurling and camogie for all players in Athlone and the surrounding area. So the future looks bright.
Based on what you're telling me there, then you're looking to future-proof the club. Are you expecting, as a consequence, then, to be able to grow the membership significantly in the future?
Yes, with the explosion of hurling and camogie, and I think it's just in Ireland in general, and especially with how successful it's been in the All-Ireland series at the moment and the knock-on effect of that, we're getting contacted by a load of people interested in joining the club. And I think word is getting out that we're looking to develop a new facility, and people are coming on board. But Southern Gales was 50 years in operation there last year. Before that, there was plenty of hurling played in Athlone since 1885, and there was numerous titles won by Athlone, Germany, Army, Coos and Walderstown. But it was due to, I suppose, lacking numbers back in 1973 that we had to join Southern Athlone hurling club with Walderstown and to become Southern Gales. But in the 50th year, we found there was massive interest in camogie, and a lot of the players from Athlone would have had to leave. They would have played underage with Southern Gales, and then they would have moved out to Drumrain if they were able to pursue their camogie career. But we've been able to offer that now in Southern Gales, and we have camogie teams now nearly at every age group, and we've seen a massive explosion there. So yes, we do see the club growing, and we need to set up for the future.
So let's talk about the future. What kind of timeline are we talking about in terms of, getting shovels into the soil, but ultimately cutting the ribbon on the new development?
Yes, well, I suppose the launch night will reveal a lot of more of the timely details, and that will depend an awful lot as well on the backing that we get from the town and the support and the businesses and all our members. But this year we're securing the site. We have sale agreed at the moment. We're putting in for planning permission. We'll be launching some fundraising ideas and activities, notably a big lotto towards the end of the year. Next year then, 2025, we'll be starting on groundworks. So definitely we'll be turning the sod. We'll be doing some preliminary pitch work. With a view to that then, we'd be hoping then by the end of the year possibly, or by into 2026, that we would be opening up the first pitch. Walking tracks, some amenities, car parks, stuff like that. And then further down the line, we'll be looking at developing a second pitch, clubhouse, ball wall, gym. And we're calling this project SG 2030. So it's our belief, but hopefully by 2030 that we would have all of this completed.
Well, that would be fantastic, because that's not an enormous time frame. You're putting yourself under, I think, a decent amount of pressure to try to deliver it in the short term. The event we'll touch on in a second. That's at the Sheraton Hotel in Athlone. But just talk to me about Athlone generally. Like it's a growing population in the first place, and marrying that up with your expectation of the sports of camogie and hurling growing. It goes to show that the sport in the region has a great potential for growth. And I suppose if we have more clubs like Southern Gales investing in this infrastructure, Westmeath hurling, for instance, could see the boom of young talent that somewhere like Offaly has experienced, because a lot of it is down to facilities at a young age.
I like the way you're talking and thinking there. Athlone is obviously the biggest town within Westmeath, so there's a population over, I think, 23,000, but they're predicting by 2030 that Athlone will grow to up to 30,000 population. So what we found that there's a lot of people moving into the town from all the hurling communities of Cork, Offaly, Galway, Tipperary, Kilkenny. So if they're coming here for work, they're looking to buy houses and settle down, and they're bringing their traditions and beliefs with them. So Athlone, while it has a good history of hurling, it's not embedded, I suppose, in every family. But as you said, we need to change that, and by having our own facility, we can leave a legacy then for our children across all South Westmeath. And we need to have a pitch as a standalone GAA hurling camogie purpose built for that facility, to be able to enable the children to believe that there is a massive future for hurling in the area. And then, as you say, with Westmeath, we have players who can come through Southern Gales pathway, the player pathway that we have formed for all the underage. And we currently have one player on the senior panel. We've had players in the under 20s and the past few years then with minor under 16, 15. So yes, we're producing players, and now the next plan is maybe to produce a good few more camogie players for the inter-county team. So we're getting a lot of support from the Westmeath County Board. They're delighted with our new move, and they're going to help us in any way they can. But definitely for South Westmeath, this is huge, because very few clubs south of Mullingar, hurling clubs or camogie clubs, own their own ground. And the only one that we know of is Castletown Gagan. So this would be the second owned, fully purposed hurling facility south of Mullingar.
Yeah, that would be substantial, tangible progress. Just considering, as I was listening to you, Martin, regarding the hurling and camogie aspect of the club, when we're expecting in the future the associations to merge, are you expecting that to have it's obviously going to have a huge impact across the country, but for a club like Southern Gales, would you think it would have a particularly substantive impact, considering the way the club is very much two pillars of the same sport?
It is, but there is the one club model now, and that's what we operate. So the same executive committee that we have run both hurling and camogie. So from an executive point of view and a management point of view, we see ourselves as one club already. Now, from the association's aspects and how they deal with fixtures and setup and communication on the greater scheme of things, they have a lot to be realigned up for sure. With even like for a facility like this that we're looking to develop, grant application. So are you applying for the hurling, through the GA or through the Community Association? So those type of things still have to be ironed out, which is important for the future. But from an operational day-to-day point of view, our club executive, it's one club. Every player is treated equally. Hurling and Camogie, we're looking to provide the same activities and training facilities for each of these, so that we can develop our athletes in the same way to produce great hurling and Camogie players for the future.
Yeah. It's encouraging to hear, because you're not the first club I've actually spoken to about the associations merging, and a lot of them are saying we're kind of already ahead of where the associations are, because at a club level it's the best way to run a club, as evidenced obviously by yourselves as well. You've given us some details, a taste of what's to be announced, and the public meeting is at the Sheraton Hotel in Athlone next week on Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock. So anyone associated with the club and members of the public interested, they'll find out even more information that evening.
Yes, we're really looking forward to good information based on this. We'll have plans available then for people to look over and hopefully take maybe suggestions. We're at planning phase at the moment, but listen, we'll always welcome suggestions. But yes, we're going to overview how we got here, the plans we're looking at the moment, and definitely the future. So we have a lot of ideas for the future. We have a lot of great backing. So we're going to have county board representatives there also to give us a few wise words and look to the future for some of our players. So we're going to have a little chat maybe from some of our Camogie players and from our hurlers, our inter-county hurlers, and let them give their opinion. So it's not just about the committee, it's the player focus as well. And they're the people who are really going to be getting the best use out of their activities, and then they'll have to carry on this vision that we have and to make sure that it all comes true for the next generations and for Southern Gales' next 50 years. But as we said, hurling has been played in Athlone since 1885, and this tradition really needs to continue. And Westmeath, obviously, hurling needs to improve and grow as well. So, so come along next Wednesday night. We're really looking forward to it.
Investing in the future for future generations around Athlone. We can leave it at that. No better way to say it. Martin Geary, Southern Gales Secretary, thanks for taking the time.
Okay, appreciate the call. Thank you very much.
If you're looking to get your children into something a bit different, then hang on for our final piece.
Health and fitness with the newly refurbished Midlands Park Health and Fitness Club. Refresh your fitness journey with dedicated personal trainers on hand to help you achieve your goals. Find out more at midlandsparkhotel.com.
Midlands 103.
Now, in the Midlands, we're very much in GA country, but there's a huge passion and interest in all sports across the region. And in that vein and in that spirit, we're going to bring cricket to the fore on health and fitness next. Laois Sports Partnership, along with Cricket Leinster, are running cricket taster sessions. What are they, you might ask? Well, we're about to find out. They take place on the Mondays forthcoming. So that is the 22nd and the 29th of July and the 12th of August from 7 until 8 o'clock at the Portlaoise Leisure Centre. I'm very glad to say that Bernard O'Mara from Cricket Leinster joins us to talk about them. Bernard, cricket taster sessions is an enticing concept, at least by name. Talk to us about what's going to be going on.
Yeah, look, what we'd be looking to do at the taster sessions is very much looking to try and introduce kids in the local area to give cricket a go. So what we'd be looking to do is we'll be getting them to do some basic batting, basic bowling, do some games. Then also it's very fun, very light-hearted, whilst also learning a few technical aspects of the game. So the idea is that is for primary school age goers, and you don't have to bring anything really. All equipment will be provided for you, and yeah, just give it a go, have a laugh, see what you think of it, and maybe then if you fancy it more, then maybe join the local cricket club then also. That's pretty much it. So in your experience, when children pick up a cricket bat for the first time and they have a go at batting or bowling or any of the aspects of the game, what do you observe in their first impressions and their first experiences? Look, for me, it's just about having fun, is to make it as fun for the kids as possible, especially since a lot of kids may not have ever looked to have played the sport. So they mightn't have an understanding of the concept of the game or how it works. So, yeah, usually whenever I look to do taster sessions like this, or if I look to go into schools in the local area, what I look to do is just to make it fun, make it active, make it enjoyable, and with a little bit of cricket technical stuff kind of thrown in so they understand how the game works. But yeah, no, very much at this age, it's just go out, have some fun, have a bit of crack, and after that, it's up to them then if they want to look to do cricket from there then.
Improving participation numbers amongst that younger cohort of people, is that, do you think, a big motivation for cricket administrators in Ireland and specifically in Leinster?
Yeah, look, we're very lucky in Cricket Leinster that we have many kind of people, I suppose, that would be in roles like myself. So, my area covers Carlow, Kilkenny, Laois and Westmeath, and we have kind of similar people, mainly in more around the Greater Dublin area. But to be fair, if I wasn't in my role, and I saw somebody like myself going around into schools, supporting clubs, doing taster sessions, I know that be very appreciative of it. They'd be very lucky to have somebody like me going around and doing it, because otherwise I suppose there mightn't be the volunteer capacity to be able to go into schools, just because people have jobs themselves, a family, so they don't have the time to do it. So it's fantastic for somebody like myself who is employed to look to try and improve participation levels and to kind of spread the word of cricket in or around the region. And I've been in this role 3 years, just over 3 years, and it's been going really well so far with regards to especially youth cricket. And as well as that, doing more stuff with women and girls cricket also. So, all things being equal, look, very pleased, even though that the challenges of cricket being a minority sport is there within Ireland.
Yeah, obviously it's relatively well known, but also still a minority sport in a lot of respects. The work that you do, then, do you enjoy it, the interactions, the bringing something new to young people, that side of things?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, look, cricket is a big passion for myself. I know now I wouldn't have played it now when I was, when I was a child in primary school or most of secondary school. But look, like I kind of said already, it's great to be able to, look to try and spread it, to give kids an opportunity to be able to have a go at the game. I suppose a lot of the times, this was even when, say, I was growing up, that there wasn't that opportunity to be able to do it. That, to give the, parents and children the idea that, look, cricket might be their sport of choice compared to, the other bigger sports that are in the country or in the area, because not everybody likes those sports. So if cricket becomes their sport that they love and that they have a passion for the rest of their life, be it playing, be it administrating, being just watching it on the telly, I think that's something that's really powerful for all people to kind of think about that. Yeah, why not kind of give it a go?
What kind of trajectory is the sport on in the region? You said obviously that your catchment area includes the likes of Laois and Westmeath. Where do you think the sport is heading in terms of direction in these areas?
Yeah, look, I think there's still a lot of growth within the clubs that are there at the moment. If you look over the past kind of 10, 15 years or so, that there has been a few new clubs that have kind of popped up. So Carlow kind of started in 2011, and then Kilkenny Cricket Club started in 2019. So in those kind of larger municipal areas, that there is an interest there, and that somebody like me, there is an investment in there for them to be able to support them to do that. But I wouldn't be surprised that, say, any other kind of larger towns that are around, that there might be more clubs popping up into the future, and that the sport will continue to grow, especially outside the Dublin area.
What about yourself? You mentioned that you didn't get into cricket through primary school or most of secondary school. So when did you find it, and how did you find it?
Yeah, look, I was wasting away my summer way back, I don't know, probably over 20 years ago now at this point. And luckily enough, at home we had Sky Sports on the telly. And I decided, you know what? I know there's a load of stigmas, and I know there's a load of things with cricket and Ireland and all that kind of stuff, but I decided to myself, you know what, I'll give this a go, since I've got nothing else to do with myself on whatever morning that was or afternoon that was. And I gave it, and I started watching it, and I started getting interested, and I went, oh geez, yeah, I'm starting to know the rules, and I'm really enjoying this game. I can see it. Maybe something I might like to do. And then I joined my local cricket club then in Bagnallstown in County Carlow, and take me on quite the journey now. From somebody who would have started cricket very late to being working in the industry or in the sport is quite something. And I know that in my own role that. Look, I know I personally have a big passion for the sport, but even if a child in a school gets an ounce of enjoyment that I do be getting from it at all, I think that's something that's very strong. That motivates me to look to try and spread the cricket, and so that more people are able to play it and enjoy it. And if it's their sport of choice, then happy days. And if it's not, that's also fine too.
I think what you've just said, a lot of people might be able to relate to at least halfway there, which is, I'd say a lot of sports fans of this country, be it when the World Cups are on, or indeed maybe the Ashes over a summer or something like that, they might actually sit down and give cricket a serious chance and watch a test match or a T20 tournament. And when you realise the complexity of the sport, the balance of tactics and strategy and a phenomenal athletic achievement in it as well, it's really compelling. But then you went and you did the next step. You got involved with the local club. How did you find the process of going in as a complete novice into an established club where people have been playing it for years? What was the atmosphere, the welcome, the learning curve, all of that type of thing?
Yeah, well, I suppose on my club in Bagnallstown, I was very fortunate that the people there, and it's still there, and it's something that I believe in with cricket. That's very unique with cricket, that it doesn't matter what race, colour, creed, sex that you are. If you're there to go and enjoy and play cricket, that we're all there we all enjoy each other's company and have our community through the medium of cricket, which I think is something that's quite unique in Ireland, that you can have so many people of different nationalities, of different cultures playing on the same team. And it's something that's very powerful, I believe, for myself, that I've learned so much from others and understanding other people and being tolerant of other people's identities and a different way of life than I suppose would be for myself. And I very lucky to be able to have that experience. But I always find that with myself and my own coaching or the work that I do, that again, that look, you make it enjoyable for people that you look to. As I said, it doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter what background you have, that if you're here, we're all here to try and enjoy ourselves and play the sport that we love. And very fortunate, as I said, when I was starting off in Bagnallstown, they didn't mind who I was, where I was. You just saw somebody look very raw to play the game, but they just went, look, we'll give him the opportunities because he's keen, he's interested, and supports the club in any way he can. So as I said, very fortunate with the club, and like I said before, always looking to try and do that with any of the work that I try and do anyway.
What kind of player did you end up being? A batter, predominantly a bowler, all-rounder? What kind of game do you bring to the field yourself?
Yeah, so I'd be an opening batter.
Okay.
On the pitches that we would play on, they would be tough wickets, shall we say? For myself, it was more kind of looking to keep wickets in hand for the rest of the team, then to be able to kind of build in innings. Mainly an opening batter, but my captain this year has dropped me down the order. He kind of has me at 5 or 6 this year as a bit of a change. So it's quite a unique position to be in now, or a different position to be in now, because I've never, as I said, through most of my in inverted commas career, I've been opening the bat, so it's a bit of a change, but something new doesn't hurt either.
No, and it's key, I think, in the sport of cricket that every position, every player, once they're there, they actually can have a huge responsibility and bearing on the game, be it fielding, bowling, or whatever order you come in to bat at. It can be the winning of the game if you're involved, which is a really nice element of it.
Totally, and it's one of the unique things about cricket, that you can have, that I might be a certain type of player, but somebody else is a different type of player, but at the same time we can all fit into the same team. And we all have different roles and different responsibilities. And I suppose that's what adds to nuances of the game, that tactical aspect of, look, I do this and you do that, and maybe we'll change stuff around, and the different types of conditions that you have, that it isn't kind of a, you rock up every day and you basically play the same game, if you know what I mean, that there's depending on the weather, depending on the pitch you're playing on, the type of ball that you're using, if it's a good ball or a bad ball, or the type of batters that you have on the day. That's what really fascinates the game for me. That all these different changes that may happen, but at the same time you're still playing the same game, which is quite unique to our sport.
It is indeed, and obviously these finer details might not be drilled into the young children turning up for the cricket taster sessions.
No, you might lose them pretty quickly if you do that. Yeah, no.
No, as you said, a bit of fun on the Mondays following. So this is the 22nd of July, the 29th and the 12th of August from 7 until 8 o'clock at the Port Laois Leisure Centre. You can check out Laois Sports Partnership on socials for the details, and Bernard's email is up there as well. Bernard, you've been great with your time. Thanks for joining us on Health and Fitness, and best of luck with these taster sessions and your work in the role going forward.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for having me.
That's the whole lot for another week. A big thank you to you. Our health and fitness community just wouldn't exist if you didn't keep listening every week, and I'm genuinely grateful for your attention. Joe Cooney and Country Roads is next after the news at 8 o'clock. Keep trying to fight the good fight, take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.